Hi folks, my name is Kieran and I'm a Dynamics 365 and a Power Platform developer. And today I seen a very good post on how to show and hide certain elements of your applications based off your Azure security groups or security assignments within the AD. And I thought that was quite cool using the Azure directory or the Azure Active Directory connector within Canvas apps. Definitely something I want to play with myself. But I do want to highlight kind of an issue that could arise here. So there is a definite security concern if you are building applications that will show and hide sensitive functionality, maybe in the form of buttons based off, say, your email or a membership that you are in on the Azure directory or Azure Active Directory. So in this case here, in this example, I have two buttons on the Canvas app, as we can see on the screen. And in the text for these two buttons, I have the value set as two strings, search for the string and search for the string 2. And I've named the buttons button 1 and button 2. We can then see on the onSelect property for these buttons, when they are clicked, I just have a notify formula here to indicate that they have indeed been clicked, that says the button has been found and triggered. And then for the second button we have a very similar formula, which is simply the button has been found and triggered 2. So if we were to click 1, this button has been found and triggered. If we were to click 2, it would be this button has been found and triggered 2. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to go and set the visible property for the first button to false. So there we have visible, and I'll change that from true to false. I'm then going to go and I'm going to save and I'm going to publish this app. Brilliant. So let's go then and look at the application in play mode. I'm just going to refresh this 2 or 3 times just to show that we are definitely on the most up-to-date version of the published app. Number 2 and number 3. So here we can see we have the second button visible, but the first one is not. So I'm going to click F12 on my keyboard, and that will then bring up, on most modern web browsers anyway, our developer panel. And we can see here the HTML elements for our application that's been rendered for us. And if I click Control F on the developer panel and I put into that box search for the string, camel case. I don't know if you can see that with my current resolution, but at the right hand side there it has spotted 2 instances of search for the string on the page. So even though the first button, its visibility is set to false, we can see, or we can surmise, that that is still rendered in the page, that it is still on our client. So if we click the up and the down here, it won't immediately bring us to the actual element containing this string, but if we right click on any element in the page and click inspect, it will bring us to the relevant section of HTML, or it will expand it out in our developer panel. So then if I click up and down on the search results here, you can see that we can actually be brought to the elements that have these strings. So I'm going to try and make this bigger, easier to see. We can see here in the HTML that the text we're currently looking at is search for the string 2, so that's the second button. And then if we go up a node or up a result, we can see it's just search for string, so that's our first button. So this here is just essentially our text label within the button HTML component. So if we have a look at its parent node in our DOM, and that parent node again, we can see it is a child of a button. But if we go maybe 3 or 4 more levels up here, we can see this here, the AppMagick Butterfill container. So this is what contains all of our buttons. So I'm going to minimize that, and I'm going to minimize the one below it as well. So if we just look at this for a second, we can see the name of the second one is set to button 2, and then up here, this is our first button here. The name here is set to button 1, so I was a bit mistaken there. I think it's 5 levels up from the initial text element. But for anyone that does know HTML, there is quite a problem here. Because if we did want to hide this button and that the functionality behind the button from certain users, maybe it's sensitive functionality, maybe some users can't be trusted with this functionality. If they were any way tech savvy and knew HTML, they could simply go into their developer prompt here, and they could remove the display none property from that element, click enter, and we can see there that our application has changed. The button has now appeared, the hidden button that we've set visibility to false, and if we click that, we can see that our formula did in fact work. So we were able to expose a hidden button on our app, and then we were able to run the onSelect formula that was behind that button. So obviously it kind of a serious it can be a potentially serious security flaw depending on how you design your application. So just something to be wary of when designing Canvas apps.